All right, well, guess I'll go ahead and get started. All right, week number 2. Let's see if I can go for another hour. Today, I thought that we could talk about some sort of holiday-related things since Christmas just ended, and New Year's is tomorrow, I believe. Anyway, yeah. So as the title of this stream and video and podcast are going to be, we're going to call it Gifting Presents and Holidays. I thought it might be kind of an appropriate topic again because Christmas has just passed, and I have some what I would maybe call some unpopular opinions when it comes to the holidays. Maybe not unpopular. I feel like this is something. I feel like the way I tend to look at holidays isn't necessarily like that rare, but I think in general the vast majority of people might not see things the same way I do, but I tend to be very analytical. So I think once I explain my point of view on holidays and gifting and things like that, that I think a majority of people would kind of understand at least. Anyway, so gifting. We'll talk about gifting first. So I have my sort of like opinion when it comes to gifts, when you're giving somebody a gift, is that it shouldn't be for any particular, like how do I explain this? You shouldn't be getting somebody a gift because you're obligated to, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I always look at it. Like when you've got Valentine's Day or birthdays or Christmas and things like this, like it's great to like receive gifts, but at the same time, when people feel obligated, or when you feel obligated to get somebody something just because it's a holiday, it kind of defeats the purpose of giving somebody a gift. At least that's kind of how I've always looked at it. Like, to me, a gift is significantly more valuable if you get the gift for somebody because, like, say somebody needs something, or you just want to do something nice for someone. To do it without having an obligation to, or without having to do it because it's something that's expected, means so much more, right? And that's kind of, I don't want to say I don't like Christmas. I love Christmas, and there's a lot that Christmas stands for, and this applies to a lot of different holidays, but I feel like a lot of people tend to sort of treat these holidays more as like, this is what you're supposed to do, like this is what is expected of you, instead of sort of treating them as just a joyous occasion to like do things with family and friends, right? I might not be the best person to sort of have this opinion. I'll share this opinion, and I'm gonna talk about it, but I'm honestly kind of paranoid that like maybe some of my family might see this or watch this and be like, "Well, of course you have that opinion. You never buy anyone any gifts," and that's kind of true. I'm a really bad gift getter. I like doing things for people, and I like giving people gifts, but I'm horrible at preparing for for these kinds of things. Like, Christmas comes every year, and it's like I'm like at the last minute, like, oh, I should have done something. I should have bought something, and then I end up just kind of like not doing anything, because it seems worse to me to go out at the last minute, Christmas Eve shopping, as it were, and just buying things at the last minute just because, again, you feel obligated, right? I would much rather realize that one of my family or friends or someone is in need of something, and do something on the spur of the moment, as opposed to doing it all on like, oh, it's Christmas, you need to be buying gifts for people kind of a mentality, right? The other thing too is I kind of feel like gifts mean a lot more when there's a certain element of surprise behind them, right? Like Christmas, people are expecting to get gifts, or how this kind of goes along with my opinion of Christmas. You shouldn't be looking at Christmas as I'm going to get gifts, but instead, I want to do something nice for someone, right? So like buying gifts for others makes way more sense. It's this season of giving, but and that's the other thing too is companies tend to, a lot of holidays now feel like they're just a big corporate thing to try and get you to spend money. And that kills it for me. That ruins it for me. That takes a ton of the fun out of it. And a gift should be meaningful. You shouldn't how do I phrase this? If you're going to be getting somebody a gift, that gift should add some kind of value to that person's life, right? Like if someone buys me, I don't know, a plushie or something that is just a plushie that has no meaning behind it, like they just bought something and gave it to me just to give me a gift, what am I going to do with this thing, right? I mean, I'll put it somewhere, but it's not like it's just going to sit around my house. And I'm trying to downsize right now too. I have so much stuff. So let me a little bit of context. My apartment just had a fire this year, and I got evicted. Now, they moved me into a new apartment. Now, my apartment specifically was unaffected, but the apartments on the other side of my building were, right? But they sealed up the whole place and kicked us out. And I stayed with my parents for about a month and then moved into same apartment complex, but a different apartment. And moving all of that stuff to the new place, it made me realize I have a lot of crap that I just never use. Probably one of the biggest things that I noticed that I have that I just don't. I have a paintball gun. I've had this thing for probably 20 years, right? I bought it at my first job. I worked with a guy. My first job was in the potato fields, by the way, and I worked with this guy who was like, "Oh, I've got a paintball gun. I'd sell it to you for like $100." And I was like, was it good? And I looked it up, found out it's actually a really good gun. For those of you who like paintball, it's a Tippmann 98 custom. It's a very, very, I don't know if I should say very popular, but it's a very well-known gun. It's a reliable gun. Oh, hey, we got Revenant here in the chat. Hey, Revenant, thanks for the subscription. Much love. Love you too, Revenant. For those of you who might be listening to this on a podcast, I like to stream this segment from my streams. So if you hear any I'll probably in the future turn off notifications when I do this segment, but for now this is mostly just seeing if I can do it and practicing. But if you do hear some noises or hear me talking, I'll try to kind of give context so that you can keep up. But yeah, anyway, so I bought this paintball gun and I've had it for like 20 years. I've used it twice. Okay, wait, was it twice? Once? I'm pretty sure I've only used this thing like twice. The idea of paintballing seems like a ton of fun, but where I live, I would have to actually be trying to schedule and go to events, and there's not a lot of people here who do it. It's kind of just if I lived somewhere where it was a lot more popular and I had a lot of friends I could do it with, I'd be way more into it, but we don't. And I've just had this thing forever. I've even put a little bit of money into it. I bought a longer barrel and a stock and a cartridge thing for the bottom of it and a handle, and never use it. Used it twice, and I've just been hanging on to this thing forever. And I don't expect it. I could make it a point to try and use it, but I don't really care that much. So I should honestly get rid of this thing. And I've got so much stuff that I just need to get rid of. It's kind of ridiculous. But so when I get gifts, I already have so much stuff that I don't need. To get a gift that has no thought behind it and it's meaningless, it's great. How long am I going to hold on to this thing before I either throw it in the trash or sell it, right? It's gifts should have some kind of meaning behind them. I when I was doing a little bit of research for this podcast, I found somebody who said that a gift should always meet 2 of 3 criteria, right? Now, which of those 2 isn't incredibly important as long as it meets 2 of 3 criteria. And those 3 criteria is it should be nice, thoughtful, and made. Okay? So buying somebody a nice gift doesn't necessarily mean it has to be expensive, but, you know, buy something that has some quality to it. So like buying something that's nice and thoughtful being the key thing here. Like if someone just bought me a random plushie from the store, I'd be like, great, what am I gonna do with this? Just stick it on a shelf somewhere and let it sit there for another 20 years? Put it next to my paintball gun? Like, but if it was a Dongo plushie, that's very thoughtful, because anyone who knows me knows I love Clannad. And so if someone bought me a Dongo, I would never get rid of that thing, right? Like I love I love Clannad. I've watched it like 7 or 8 times. By far my favorite anime. And so if someone was to buy me like a plushie from that, that's thoughtful and it's very nice, right? Like or made. So like something could be thoughtful and made, something that's, you know, related to me, and it's something that you make yourself. That's super nice, right? Let's see, nice and made. You could make something with some quality. Like that's really like for example, I have a brother-in-law who makes knives. It's like a hobby of his. I think he picked it up from his dad actually. And they're nice. They're good knives. They're very good quality, right? So not only is he making them, but he's making some good quality things. It's not some like macaroni art thing that he's putting together. But I really liked that when I watched when I watched this video, sort of talking about like these sort of like gifting ideas, and the fact that it's such a good guideline for when you're buying somebody a present, something that's nice, thoughtful, and made. Try and always at least hit 2 of those criteria, and it's going to be a good gift, guaranteed. Okay, so let's see. Let's talk about some other interesting gifting things. When I was looking into this, one of the gifting ideas was flowers. And flowers has always been something I've kind of thought as such a horrible gift myself, right? For Valentine's Day, chocolates and flowers is always the go-to, but flowers always just kind of feel like, I don't know, this kind of goes on to the whole thing of like a thoughtful gift. If I was buying someone flowers, I would only be willing to do it if I know that they like flowers. And why would I? And they're just gonna die. Like, you get them the flowers, they look nice, they smell nice, and they last a few days, maybe. I don't. Yeah, to me, it just feels like such a waste of money. And I'm curious how many people really actually like getting flowers as a gift. It seems I'm not real big on that idea of doing flowers as a gift myself. Maybe it's just because I wouldn't want to get flowers as a gift. I can't say I ever have, but I wouldn't want flowers as a gift. And I am pretty curious as to just how many people out there actually like getting flowers as a gift. And kind of on that, well, maybe it's not on the same note, but books is another one. Like, books are great, but I don't read very much. And maybe if someone does read a lot, but I feel like with newer generations, there's less and less of us like wanting books, especially since everything is online now. If you wanted to read something, boot up your computer and you could just like rent a book or something online or something, or just buy it and then just have a digital copy of a book. And so like a physical book is something that I can't. I mean, if we're going back to the whole idea of a thoughtful gift, I have most of the books from the manga Spice and Wolf, which was also made into an anime, and it was such a good show. When I watched the anime, I wanted to buy the manga, which is, you know, essentially it's a book, a comic book basically, but and so I wanted, so like if somebody knew, oh hey, he likes these, which editions does he have? Oh, he has 1 through 6, but there's 3 more. Oh, I'm gonna buy him the other 3 for Christmas or for his birthday or for whatever. That would be a very thoughtful gift, and I would love that. But to just get like a book, yeah, Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely not a gift that I would enjoy. I'm curious how many people like to get books as a gift as well. I'm trying to think here. Kind of going along those lines of the nice, thoughtful, and made gifts. One of the points that can really kind of touch up a gift is putting a little bit of a sort of like a personal thing on it, right? And if you buy like an engraving tool, that can be a great way to sort of like take just buying a gift and make it meaningful, right? Like to engrave their name on it, or to engrave something onto the gift so it's a lot more personal. Sort of takes even just a mundane gift and just ups it to the next level, which I thought that's a really good idea. Kind of makes me want to buy an engraving tool. I'm not into engraving super much myself, but like I can't deny the fact that a gift that you might get, some like, I don't know, like a phone cover or something. You can buy someone a phone cover, and you just buy a phone cover for someone and give it to them. It's just kind of like, oh hey, a phone cover. Yeah, I mean, this is useful. I can stick this on my phone. Great. But then if you were to like be even just slightly artsy and kind of like engrave their name on it or something, it's so much more meaningful, you know? Really like that idea. It doesn't have to be engraving. It could be like any kind of little thing. Like maybe if you buy someone like, I don't know, use a phone cover as an example, maybe get like some cool, wow, here's a really cool idea. Actually, I really like this idea. Go on like Fiverr and commission someone. You don't have to commission someone super expensive, but commission someone to like do an art, like do like a sketch or do some kind of like art piece where like you send a picture like of your friend and be like, hey, can you draw this person, and they'll do like a caricature of like their face, or like maybe their shoulder up or something, right? And then you get this cool like picture, and you could like have that made into a sticker or something, and then put that sticker on a gift. Like just buy a phone cover and put or you could be willing to bet that you can have a phone cover made from a picture, right? And so have this caricature character, am I saying that right? Have this drawing. Oh man, that would be so cool. I'm really into this idea. This seems like such a cool gift, right? And kind of back to what we first started on, like I'm getting excited about these ideas of like these cool, fun, or thoughtful gifts to do for people. And then Christmas rolls around and people are just giving gifts just to give gifts, right? Like this Christmas, probably the gift I was the most excited about was pants. I got 2 pair of jeans, and my mom knows that I've tried lots of different pairs of jeans, and the jeans that I love the most are the flex fit jeans from American Eagle. And so every year my mom buys me some of those jeans. And that means a lot to me. The fact that she knows that I shop, and it's not like I like American Eagle. I don't buy that much stuff from American Eagle, but their jeans, I always buy. That's like the only jeans I buy is American Eagle jeans, right? Those are the jeans I bought even before they came out with the flex fit, which, how do I explain this? I was explaining, this is pretty funny. You guys might get a kick out of this, actually. I was explaining how these jeans work, and a lot of people will be like, I just brain farted. What were those jeans called? They're the spandex, but like they got the jean print on them. So it's like that. You would think, yeah. They're flexible jeans, right? And so they think, oh, they're spandex, not, or like jeggings. What is that? What they're called? Jean leggings. Well, these are actually they're jeans, but to the best that I can figure out, to the best of my knowledge, they're made in a way that the vertical thread is just like any normal pair of jeans, but the horizontal thread, the thread that runs like, for example, around your leg, it's like that thread has a little bit of flex to it. So when you put these jeans on around the waist, they've got a little bit of give, right? And it's the same like all the way down the jeans. They got a little bit of give on the sort of like horizontal plane, like along your belt line or around your legs. But the vertical is rigid like a regular pair of jeans, and they're so comfortable. Love these jeans. Anyway, great gift. Love that. It's like the best gift I got. Oh, actually, there were some other fun gifts I got. I got some white, was it Stevens white chocolate, like, you know, cocoa mix or whatever. Oh, hey, Captain's here for the stream. Hey, Captain. 2.5 years later. Holy crap. Yeah, Captain just subscribed. Thanks for the subscription. He's been here for 2.5 years. Thanks for calling me a cutie. I do need a drink. I've been talking for 20 minutes now. Let's take a swig here. All right. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Okay, so kind of like along these lines of like when you're buying gifts for people, there's the nice, thoughtful, and made gifts, but there's another aspect to this that I never thought of this. Well, okay, so I've definitely thought of this, but I never put it into this perspective. But when you're buying a gift, there are expensive and there are costly. Okay, and expensive gifts and costly gifts aren't the same thing. Okay, so you can spend a lot of money on a gift, and it's expensive. Okay, and that's all it is. It's just expensive, right? Like buying somebody a car is a very expensive gift. Okay, but a costly gift might be something that costs a lot of money compared to other items that don't normally cost that kind of money, right? Like the example that I was given was like a pair of socks. Like you can go out and just buy a pack of socks at Walmart, and they're just socks. Or you could buy some nice, really cozy socks that are really nice. Like, for example, it's winter, maybe you want some nice, what are they called, fleece, like the thick comfy socks, right? And you're spending more money on socks than what you would normally spend on a pair of socks, but they're not that expensive. They're costly because they are more expensive than their counterparts, but it doesn't have to be expensive, right? And buying somebody a gift that is costly is much better than something that they would normally buy, but it doesn't have to be something that's expensive, like buying somebody a nice pair of socks. I don't like getting socks for Christmas, so I hope no one buys me any socks next year. I didn't get any this year, which is great. I'm very picky on certain things, and socks is one of those things I'm really picky on. But you know, the point is that when you're buying somebody a gift, getting somebody a costly gift doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money, but it will be more meaningful because you're getting them something a little bit better than what would normally be. So they're like, oh, this is good quality, you know, for what it is. And that's such a ingenious way to look at this. I'm pretty glad that I sort of learned this from doing this podcast today. Another cool thing that how do I explain this? Okay, so I've talked about this a bunch in the past, and I'm surprised how many people don't really understand this. But there's the whole, what's the phrase? Money can't buy happiness. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I think absolutely money can buy happiness, and not only do I believe that it can, I think it can be measured. And I looked into this, and there's a whole study about it, and I want to say it was like a Harvard study. I don't know if that's true or not, but there was a study done by someone who tried to figure out, can money buy happiness, and if it can, you know, how much happiness can it buy, like measured amount. And it was really cool because not only did they basically prove that money can buy happiness, but it can also the sort of proportionate amount is not, what's the word, linear? It's not linear. So if you buy someone a gift, you will get more happiness out of buying somebody a gift than buying yourself something. kind of makes sense. You're doing something for somebody else, and it will make you feel good. But the sort of amount of happiness you get from that is more. It lasts longer. You get more happiness, but also you kind of like have a happiness. You sort of get more joy longer from buying somebody else a gift than just buying yourself something. But you do also sort of get some happiness from buying gifts for yourself. This is where things get really interesting, though. The more money you spend on buying yourself something, the more sort of happiness you will get from buying yourself something. I'm getting myself confused. But it's not like, it's not linear. It's not like if I spend $10 and buy myself something, I get this amount of happiness, and if I spend $1,000 on myself, I get essentially the same amount of happiness times 10 or whatever. That's not true, right? So for example, if I buy myself a paintball gun, I'm like, oh, I got this paintball gun, I'm really excited, I got this thing I can go have fun with and whatever, right? And I'm excited about this thing. Versus buying myself a car, they're both useful, but the car's way more expensive, right? Especially if it's like a brand new car. Like say you spent like 30 or 40,000 to buy yourself a new car, right? Yes, you're gonna be happy and you're super excited about the car, and it's gonna be way more exciting than if you just bought yourself a paintball gun. But that happiness sort of fades with time, and the car will last longer, but it won't last as long as you think, right? The paintball gun, for the amount of money you spent on the car, you could have bought yourself a ton of gifts, and it's not gifts, they're for yourself, but you could have bought yourself way more things with that amount of money, and in the end, it would have been way better, right? Buying yourself a lot of small gifts versus buying yourself one very expensive a thing, right? So the study actually found that if you buy yourself, or even better, if you buy others small cheap things frequently, it ends up being really good for sort of the amount of happiness that you feel in return, and it's even better if you order them online, because for that week or however many days you're waiting for this thing to come, you're kind of like a little excited, like, oh, my package could get here today. Oh, it didn't get here today, that means it's going to be here tomorrow, right? And you get that sort of joy and satisfaction of waiting for it. And like I said, it's especially good if you're buying someone else something, right? Now back to the don't just buy useless things. If you're going to gift gifts to people, try to get something that's going to add value to their life, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be something crazy, but like a pen, here you go, like a pen with an engraving on it, or a pen with like a picture of their favorite anime, or something like that, right? Like a pen's useful, but it's also not going to take up a lot of space. If someone got me a nice pen or something, I'd probably put it on my computer desk and have it there next to my notepad. For example, this notepad I'm using right now for doing my podcasts, right? Like a Clenad pen, that'd be sick. I don't know if they even make those. I'm gonna have to look that up after the stream today. Anyway, yeah, so that's something that I've known for a while now, and it actually, that very idea that buying things can kind of buy happiness, but buying cheap, smaller things gives you a better return on your investment than if you were to buy expensive things. That idea got me sort of hooked on AliExpress. That website, for those of you who don't know what AliExpress is basically just like a Chinese website, kind of like Amazon or something, but you can order stuff off this website, and tons of stuff on here is just dirt cheap. Also, be careful browsing that website if you live with family. They have like no filter on that website, and they sell everything. So it happens a lot where you're on the main page and you're kind of just scrolling through, and you're like, oh, that is not what I'm. Let's scroll past that, right? So just keep that in mind. I sort of learned that one the hard way. Anyway, so. But they sell tons of cheap stuff, and when you order stuff off this website, they do have warehouses in the States, for example, and they do have warehouses other places, but most or a lot of the time it's shipping from China, meaning that it takes it takes weeks to a month, right? Like when I first used this website, I want to say the first few things I actually ordered took about a month to arrive. But that also kind of, when you're buying just little cheap things or whatever, it's like, who really cares? But also you're always waiting on it. And when it takes a month for you to get your package, it's almost like a surprise to yourself, because one day you just get home and you're like, what's this package on my door? Wait, oh, it's that. Oh, I totally forgot, I forgot I bought that badge or pin or whatever it was. Pretty fun. I got me really hooked on it. I haven't shopped on the website in a while now. Actually, I should now. I kind of want to get back into it. Ooh. I'm curious about whether you guys kind of agree with my views. I feel like I like to think that my opinions on gifting and I guess happiness and things like this, I'd like to think that my viewpoints on these things make sense. But again, I feel like I'm part of the minority when I look at these things, right? Like, again, I tend to be very analytical. I tend to look at things from a how it makes sense kind of a perspective. So when I explain these things, I think people are like, yeah, that makes sense, but no one actually kind of like thinks of it this way. And it's hard for me to see it from the other perspective because it's not my way of thinking, I guess. Man, it'd be a lot of fun to talk about something like this if I had like a guest or something, or someone that I could like sort of bounce these ideas off of, someone with a different perspective. Maybe that's what we'll do after I do my podcast today. We'll go try and find some people and ask them questions about these kinds of things, and see what kind of opinions they have and how they feel about like what kind of presents you should buy, and can money buy happiness. Yeah. One of the things we talked about earlier was I want to talk about this a little bit more, but I found it to be such a valuable. I probably shouldn't have said it that way, but when you're buying somebody a gift, I feel like a very good way to look at it is to add value to their life. It's such a powerful way to buy presents for somebody, or to buy someone anything, because if you're wanting to do something nice for someone and that's the only sort of perspective you're coming into this, and so you just buy someone something, it's almost going to have the opposite effect, right? Because you're going to give this person something and they're going to be like, oh, thanks, right? But in their head they're like, why did this person give me this piece of crap? It's like you're now associating like a negative outlook on this thing with good intention, right? Like you had a good intention to buying someone something, but then they're like, okay, why, man, this person doesn't know me at all. They just bought me a pad of paper for no reason. Like, what am I gonna do with this? That's having thought and meaning, and like being like, that kind of goes along another thing too. Like guys and girls don't tend to like think the same, and maybe it's not a guys and girls thing, but like I, for example, am very analytical, and I have a very sort of like straightforward like mindset, in that you kind of have to talk to me and be like, who, what, when, where, and why, as opposed to like trying to throw in any sort of like feelings or emotions into it, because that kind of just goes over my head, and I get lost. I get very lost in conversations. I love talking to my mom, but she does this a lot. I'll be talking to her and she starts like going on this tangent to kind of explain her point of view on something, and the next thing I forget what the heck she was talking about. Right? Like I'm trying to figure out what the point is, and it's sort of I guess the love language when it comes to like guys, I feel guys tend to have a very like, if a guy is trying to help you solve your problems, that is a guy sort of like showing that he cares about you. But just listening is something that for guys can be very difficult, right? Because sometimes people just want to talk, and they just want you to listen. And for guys, it's like, we want to help. And so we start trying to pick apart. And so when I'm in a conversation and there's all this fluff in the conversation, I get lost, and next thing you know, I'm just listening, and it gets really difficult when that person is actually trying to get your help, and you don't, like, or I don't realize, and the next thing I know, I'm stuck in a conversation, and they're like, so what do you think? And I'm like, about what? Were you listening to the conversation at all? I mean, I was, but you were telling me about this and this, and I don't know what the problem is. like spell it out for me. Who, what, when, where, why? Like, you know, I need a structure here. I think I might be going on a tangent myself, but yeah, so value, that's what we were talking about, right? Value, like adding some kind of, oh yeah, I remember now. So you kind of need to pay attention to and listen to the people that are around you if you actually want to like be able to buy them a gift, and understand that when people are talking and throughout their, my mom's really good at this, but at the same time, her execution isn't always perfect. She heard that my feet are sore. I talked about how I'm standing all day. This is how it's been with all my jobs. I'm standing all day on hard floors. My feet hurt, which oftentimes causes my back to hurt. It's actually why I buy skater shoes. I do have a longboard. I haven't longboarded in years. I love that longboard though. I probably won't ever sell it, but I started buying skater shoes because I started using a longboard and I was eating through shoes, and I thought, well, if I buy skater shoes, maybe they'll last longer, and they did. But I also found they're very comfortable. So even though I don't skate anymore, I still buy skater shoes because they're durable and they always seem to be very comfortable, or at least the brand was I was buying. I'm buying a different brand now, and once the soles, or not the soles, but once the insole kind of wears out, the pattern that this company uses kind of like hurts more then I feel like it's helping. So I'm probably gonna try a different brand next time. But she heard that my feet are sore, so she bought me some insoles, which is a great idea. But she bought me these insoles that are for a certain medical condition, which don't really apply to me. And like I said, she's very good at listening, but at the same time, I don't feel like she's always super good at the execution. I have a shower curtain. When I moved from my old apartment to my new apartment, my shower curtain, it was like, I think it was a plastic. It was like a plastic shower curtain, and it was getting all grungy and like crispy and bad. And I was like, I really need to throw out this shower curtain, right? Now, again, I procrastinate. I should have bought one a while ago, and I just haven't been. And so she bought me one for Christmas, which is great, awesome. And she bought me a nice cloth one. I was like, oh, that's great. So well, it was like 2 days ago. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna change out the shower curtain, right? So I'm getting ready to take a shower, and I'm taking out the old shower curtain. I go to put the new one in, and I'm hooking them all up, and then I get to the end, and it's like 3 clips short of the end, and I'm like, well, that's odd. Wait, so how am I going to hang the shower curtain, right? Like, I can't like skip every other, how do I do this? I was like, well, this side is where the shower head is, so maybe I'll just shift them all that. So I shift them all, and then it's also really long. I'm like, man, this is a weird, like, shower. Or I think this is actually the liner. I think the curtain's the one on the outside. This is the liner that goes on the inside, and it's really long. It's like draping like halfway into my bathtub, and I'm just like, this is a weird shower curtain, right? Like, don't they have like a certain like standard? Like, don't they normally always have the same number of hooks and about the same length? Why is this one shorter and longer? And then I was like, whatever. I didn't really worry about that much. I figured if it really bothers me, I'll just buy a new one later. It's not like they're that expensive, right? So I finish my shower. I get out, and I've got the packaging material, and I'm picking it up to throw it away, and I look at it, and it says stall. So the liner I have it's for a stall style shower, I think. So it's like, well, great. I really needed a liner. Thanks, but you bought one for a stall. That's not okay. Well, it still means a lot to me. I'm super thankful I got the gift, but at the same time, Uh, I don't know, it's just a funny thing, I guess. It's not really a big deal. All right, cool. What else should we talk about? Oh, this reminds me. There was, or I just remembered. There's something kind of back to the whole holiday topic. How do I phrase this? Holidays. I'm not back to the very beginning of what we were talking about. Holidays are a touchy subject for me because I noticed that like I feel like they've been way too. I don't think it's a real word to say corporatized, but they've been way too. Corporations are like doing everything they can to essentially exploit on holidays, right? Like Halloween, it's just candy sales, and Christmas, it's tons and tons of buying gifts, and Christmas Eve is crazy when you go to the store, and it's also like such a another like bad thing as well as just that Christmas or just holidays in general can almost like be a bad thing. Valentine's Day is a good example for me because I've basically always been single. I say basically because I did have a couple of girlfriends, but like they didn't last and it was like a short thing. It was more of like a fling than it was an actual relationship. And so every year when Valentine's comes around, it's one of those things that I just avoid. I almost shut myself in on Valentine's Day just because I hate going out and it's just tons of Valentine's Day stuff, and it just reminds me that I'm single. So for me, it's Singles Awareness Day as opposed to being a holiday, right? And for a lot of people, holidays can be more of a trigger for loneliness than they can actually be like a good thing. Imagine Christmas, but you have no family. Imagine Halloween, but you can't have kids, or all these other sort of like reasons why holidays can almost just be like a really bad thing. It reminds me of a comparison. So you have loneliness and you have being alone, and these two I feel get kind of, what's the word? These two get confused. These two things get confused all the time because you can be with family or friends, but if you don't get along or you don't fit in, or maybe you're depressed or something, you can feel alone, but you're not, right? So you can feel alone but not actually be alone. Very I guess deep thoughts, I guess, going into that kind of I feel like that's something that I suffer from quite a bit. I heard once that if you are sad, it's because you're tired. If you're angry, it's because you're hungry. Ever since I kind of heard that, I've always sort of like if I'm ever at home and I'm just feeling sad for whatever reason, I feel like a lot of the time whenever I'm just feeling, say for example, lonely or just feeling bummed out, oftentimes I end up just sitting at my computer and just watching YouTube, and just next thing you know, it's like 4, 5, 6 hours go by and I've done nothing, which just feeds it. It just makes it worse. And when I start feeling those ways, I've decided, I should probably just go to bed, and it's helped. Most of the time, it's helped a lot. Like I go to bed, I get some rest, I end up waking up early, and then in the past I've always been like, I hate going to bed early because then I get up early, and then I've got nothing to do and no one to hang out with because everyone's still sleeping. But I've actually found that's some days that's been my most productive times, and it makes me feel almost like the best I've felt, right? Like I'll get up and I won't have anyone to hang out with or do anything with, and so I end up just working on something. and it's worked. It's been wonders, actually. The whole angry means you're hungry thing hasn't really applied to me that much. I've never been very good at, maybe it's because I'm always eating. That's actually probably what it is. I'm always snacking or munching on something. It's probably really bad for my health, but it's something that I've always done. And in the past, I always thought, oh, this is why I'm so skinny, because I weighed like 135 pounds all the way up until I was like 20, I don't know, 24 ish. And the 135 pounds for someone who's, how tall am I, 5'10", I was skinny, and I definitely looked skinny. And once my body kind of just, I always blame the oil field, because I worked in the oil field for a while, and my job was basically security, and so I had a lot of free time where I'm not allowed to sleep, and I'm just supposed to watch these tanks fill with water, and it was slow and it was boring. And so I spent, I'd stop by the gas station or whatever before going to work, and I'd buy a bunch of snacks, and I would basically just munch on snacks and sit on my butt and just watch these tanks fill up. And that was about the time I started gaining weight, and it was I always blame it on that, because it was like, I was lazy and I was just eating all the time. And so but ever since then, my weight's kind of just gone up. I'm like, yeah, and so my munching, always eating something, is not going to help my weight come back down. I don't want to be 135 pounds, but I would like to lose a little bit of weight. There's a weight loss. This goes back to me being very analytical. There's a weight loss sort of, I don't know if it's a weight loss program or what it is, but it's essentially fasting. There's a study done a long time ago that tried to figure out sort of the effects of, I don't want to say starving yourself, but they were testing all these subjects, and they were having them go like, I think it was up to 4 days. They did 1, 2, 3, and 4 days without eating. Like, you're allowed to drink and chew gum, but you're not allowed to actually eat any food. And what they discovered was, when you don't eat, there's a couple of big things that happen. The first is that you'll have like these spikes in which you're really hungry, but they subside, they pass, they go away. And there's about 3 spikes a day, like essentially breakfast, lunch, and dinner times. So your body learns that those are the times when you eat, right? So you would have a spike around like lunchtime where like you're really hungry. But if you ride it out and don't eat anything, it goes away and you're not really hungry anymore. And what happens is your body isn't receiving food, so it needs to burn fat instead. So your body kind of transitions from the we're going to eat food for sustenance, and it switches into we're going to burn fat for food. And they found that when you go like days, it actually gets easier. By like day 4, they found that people were like they were still having those spikes where they were getting really hungry, but they weren't as bad, right? Like day 1's the worst, the second day isn't quite as bad as the first, the third day is even better, and the fourth day is even better, essentially. And I call it fasting because the idea isn't to actually starve yourself. Like, you can go quite a while. I did just watch a YouTube video of a guy who did this for 7 days. That seems excessive to me. Like 4 seemed like a lot before, but this guy went 7 days, an entire week without eating any food. He was drinking water only, but I think by like the 4th or 5th day, he was drinking a little bit of sugar water to kind of like take the edge off. But for the most part, was not eating any food, right? And he did it for 7 days. And this guy lost like 15 pounds or something like that. It's something that I've always wanted to try, but I don't know if because I'm always snacking or eating something. I don't think I could do it. I thought about it though. I work Monday to Thursday, and then I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. And Friday, I do movie night on my Discord. Saturday, I do this in my stream. And then Sunday is sort of like my free day off. But I thought, if I wanted to do 4 days, I could just use my work days, right? Just Sunday is the last day I eat anything, go to work Monday, and just try not to eat any food until the end of my work day on Friday. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I have but I want to try it. Hmm. No food for 4 days. Man, just thinking about it, I don't. Should I try it this week? I could try it. Maybe I should try it this week, and then we could talk about it next Saturday. See if it actually like had any effect, or if I was even able to do it at all. That could be kind of fun. Hmm. I wrote a lot of notes for today's podcast, or at least what I thought was a lot of notes, but I still have like 10 minutes to burn talking about something. There is one thing that I don't know if this. Okay, no, I think. Okay, so I feel like this does apply to um, sort of gifting people things and the holidays and whatever. So Neil deGrasse Tyson was once asked a question. Sort of, I don't remember the exact question. I'm ad-libbing a little bit, but basically, it was about like the meaning of the universe, or I think it was actually like what does he think, like when he looks at the night sky or the universe or whatever. And his perspective on this was mind-blowing to me. He essentially went on to say that most people look up at the sky and you see the vastness of the universe and they feel small. You feel small and insignificant compared to the just vastness and the size of space and planets and everything else, right? Because we are just these tiny little beings on this planet with or whatever. But he said he feels big, and the reason he feels big is when you think about how planets, suns, universes, galaxies are made, right? The way that like it was explained is, you have like a star that hits its sort of breaking point and it explodes, and it spills its guts all over and creates this huge cloud that eventually turns into other planets that start orbiting, and you get our galaxy, right? And all of the atoms, all of the stuff that came from that star is what forms everything else. Okay, so the same atoms, the same, everything that is in us, everything that makes us up is the exact same stuff that makes up everything else in the galaxy. So it's not that we are in the galaxy, we are a part of the galaxy. Okay, we are just one part of like what we are is the same as what everything else is. It's mind-blowing to think of it that way. It's just so mind-boggling. It blows. Yeah, I cannot unthink this thing that Neil deGrasse was talking about. It just completely switched my perspective on the whole idea. And kind of to expound on that, he mentions that that's really all anyone wants, is to feel connected, right? And when you think that the universe is made up of the same things that we're made up of, and we are a part of the universe as opposed to just being in the universe, it really makes you feel connected to the universe, right? And that to me is sort of what life is. That's my sort of meaning to life, is connecting with others and connecting to your surroundings, and back to like adding value to other people's lives. It's all about connection. I think that's why I love having conversations, especially those deep conversations with people that don't turn into arguments, and don't turn into this pissing match over who's right and who's wrong, but just actually being able to converse with somebody and kind of like they kind of offer, their opinions on something, and you offer yours, and you have a really good deep conversation about literally anything, right? Like some of the best conversations I've ever had could have been on the most obscure, stupid things, especially when I was younger and like in high school. We would talk, nothing was off limits. We would talk about anything, right? Like oh yeah, anything. It was, some of our conversations were the stupidest, dumbest, like you might compare them to, like, maybe there's a bunch of people hanging out and they're just smoking weed and getting high, and like they have really weird, profound, dumb conversations. That's I haven't smoked weed, but I feel like those are the kinds of conversations that I've sometimes had, and they were almost like they meant so much more to me than even just talking about something that actually matters, just because the type of conversation it was, as opposed to I hate when conversations turn into arguments. Like when two people can actually converse with each other and not turn it into this, like, again, pissing match over who's right and who's wrong. It's I cannot stand those conversations at all, like arguing and the worst part is, like, I understand that sometimes I do it, and that's sort of part of life, is just kind of recognizing that those are things that happen. And I feel like that's probably for anyone that actually likes listening to me ramble, that's probably the biggest takeaway I would say from today's stream would be that we should understand that life is about connecting with others, and whether you want to buy someone a present or a gift, try to add value and meaning to that gift so that you're enriching somebody else's life, and understand that it's not all about presents and gifts. Like, don't go looking at Christmas as an obligation to buy people presents, okay? Yeah, I think that's probably a really good takeaway from sort of today. Oh, another sort of to expound on this is, I learned through some research that I did on my brother, who has all kinds of things going on in his life, but he can't help but lie and steal, and it's a problem that we've had to deal with as a family for a long time. But in doing research on this, I learned, and this really sort of opened my eyes to why he does a lot of the things he does. But through, we'll call it evolution, as humans have sort of evolved over the years, we have become better and better and better and better at lying. But on that same aspect, we've become better and better and better at telling if people are lying. The issue here is that although people in general are getting better at lying, and they're getting better at telling if somebody is lying, there are going to be people who aren't as good, and the sort of like higher those abilities get, the larger that gap gets between people who are bad at lying and people who are good at lying. And the same thing with people who can tell when people are lying or not tell when people are lying. I've had to deal with this for a long time. I tend to think that I'm pretty good at telling when someone's lying, but I can't lie for beans. I cannot lie. My throat hurts. Let me grab a drink really quick. But it is also very important to know that everyone kind of is somewhere within this spectrum here, right? And people who are sort of on the like the really bad side of like they can't lie doesn't necessarily mean that they can help it. And you get people who their brain will cause not physical, is physical the right word? It will, they don't want to be wrong, right? So they'll be talking about something and they don't want to be wrong, to the point where if they are, or if somebody's trying to tell them they're wrong or prove to them that they're wrong, their brain will straight up cause them like physical harm. Like they will experience a sensation so strong that it hurts and they can't be wrong. And these are those people that I'm sure everyone has had a conversation with, but these are those people who will not admit that they're wrong ever. Okay, and like I said, everyone is somewhere on this, and everyone doesn't want to be wrong to some degree. But it's very important to understand that this is how everyone is, right? This is how I am, and this is how everyone listening to this is. And it's just important to recognize that is how it is. And when you're having a conversation with someone and they're trying to tell you you're maybe wrong about something, understand that both of you want to be right. And sometimes it's okay to be wrong. Recognize that you don't want to be wrong, they don't want to be wrong, and it doesn't matter. And as long as you recognize that, and you are always trying to sort of counter that I have to be right mentality, it's sort of like a struggle that we all have to go through our entire lives, but always simply understanding and recognizing that it is something that we all do will make conversations far more enriching and far better for everyone. Because if you are in a conversation where someone's trying to tell you you're wrong and you know you're not wrong, just be like, well, I never really thought about it like that. I mean, yeah, I guess that does make sense. Maybe the earth is flat. Or maybe soda does make your veins explode, or maybe, whatever. It's not that important that somebody believes something that could be wrong. Just let it go and, move on to the next conversation. Move on with your life and try to combat this need to always be right. I know it's definitely one of those things that I can struggle with. I've had plenty of conversations where I can't stand somebody because they spout nonsense all the time. That's where my problem comes from. If I'm in a conversation and I recognize that this person's arguing with me and trying to prove I'm wrong on something that I know isn't wrong, then I can just kind of let that go in the moment. But when I'm around somebody frequently and they're constantly spouting nonsense, it gets under my skin. It's that thorn that gets under your skin and it just pries, and it's just like I end up like losing my mind. The slow and sort of like that long game is so hard for me. But yeah, no, that's we're at about an hour now. So I know I rambled a lot there. I'm pretty sure I went off the rails a few times, but I think that's just about everything I wanted to cover in our topics for today. Let's see, gifting, presents, holidays. Was there anything we didn't really talk about? Yeah, I think that's about everything. Cool. All right, let me put this notepad away. Anyone who's watching this on YouTube, thanks for stopping by. This will be the end of the podcasting section of the stream. So everybody knows, the way I'm doing these podcasts is I live stream these on Twitch. So if you guys would like to come in and give some input to whatever topic it is we're talking about, jump on Twitch and you can come in the beginning of the streams and yeah, I also upload this section onto YouTube. Currently I am not uploading these to podcasts yet, but at some point I will. So if you're listening to this on a podcast, thanks for doing that, and feel free to check us out on Twitch or YouTube. And yeah, cool. All right, so now we're just gonna go find some people to talk to and hang out with. Hopefully we can find some people to have some good conversations with. Haven't seen a lot of people on in places I normally hang out.